Welcome to Science Era. In this video, we're going to be discussing some of the true-false questions from the past exam papers for FIS2601 module. We all know that we are writing on the 21st of this month. Let's begin. I'm not going to go into the details of each question, so I'm just going to tell you whether it is true or false. For the notes, you can go onto my page on Stuvia. It's called Science Era Tutors to download the detailed notes. Let's begin. The lower esophageal sphincter remains constricted until peristaltic waves of swallowing signal its relaxation. This is true. Gastrointestinal tract has a nervous system entirely of its own. It is true. It is called enteric nervous system. The second phase of gastric secretion is known as cephalic phase. False. Crypts of lubricant are located on the surface of small intestine. This is true. Secretin stimulates bicarbonate secretions. True. Chylomicrons are resynthesized triglycerides entering the lymph. Again, it is false. Glyconeogenesis is the process where glucose is formed from the amino acid and glycerol. This is true. Okay. Cortisol is involved in metabolism of carbohydrates, also proteins and fats. This is false. Autocrine are secreted by cells into extracellular fluid and affect the function of same cells that produce them. This is true. Formation of thyroxine require the ingestion of iodine. Again, true. Trypsin is one of the hormones that control pancreatic secretion. False. Proteins are formed from the multiple fatty acid molecules that are bound together by peptide linkage. This is false. They are not bounded from fatty acid molecules but amino acid molecules. Hypothalamus contains the hunger and satiety center. This is true. Glucose can move into intestinal membrane through the passive transport. This is false. Paracrines are secreted by cells into the extracellular fluid and affect the function of same cells that produce them. False. Pepsinogen is secreted by the chief cells. This is true. Ghrelin is released from the stomach during fasting. This is true again. Bile is a major component in the emulsification and digestion of carbohydrates. False. The second phase of gastric secretion is known as the cephalic phase or gastric phase. False. Insulin secretion increases the metabolism in almost all the cells of the body. This is true. Crypts of lubricant are located in the large intestine. False. They are located in the small intestine. Hydrochloric acid aids in converting pepsin to pepsinogen. True. Saliva secretion is controlled by the sympathetic neurons only. No, they are also controlled by the parasympathetic. It is false. Steroid hormones synthesized from the cholesterols are stored. False. They are not stored. Okay. Then the next question is, gastrointestinal tract has the nervous system entirely of its own. That is true. Pepsinogen is secreted by parietal cell. False. CCK stimulates gallbladder contraction. That is true. Glucagon is derived from the tyrosine. False. Chylomicron are resynthesized amino acid entering the lymph. False. Globules secrete trypsinogen mucus. False. Serosa is the inner layer of intestinal wall. Again, false. Pancreatic lipase hydrolyzes neutral fat into the fatty acid and monoglycerides. That is true. Conversion of amino acid into the keto acid or fatty acid is called ketogenesis. False. Goblet cell secretes trypsinogen and chymotrypsinogen. False. Pancreas does. Growth hormones stimulate the physiological activity of osteoblasts. That is true. The binding of iodine with thyroglobulin molecule is called organification of thyroglobulin. That is true. Peritoneal-intestinal reflux result from the irritation of peritoneum. That is true. Acetylcholine most often excite GIT activity, and norepinephrine almost always inhibits the GIT activity. This is true. Stimulation of parasympathetic nerves going to the stomach and the lower colon increase the glandular secretion. That is true. Gap junction allow low resistant movement of iron from one muscle cell to the next. That is true. Calcium sodium channel cause the long duration of action potential in the GIT tract. This is false. Exophthalmos is characterized by protrusion of the eyeball. That is true. Cortisol is involved in metabolism. False. Gastrin stimulates pancreatic acinar cell to secrete water and bicarbonate ion. Again, that is false. Glucagon is an example of derivatives of amino acid tyrosine. This is again false. Thyroxine increases the body metabolic rate. This is true. Musculature of pharyngeal wall and upper third of the esophagus is the skeletal muscle. This is again true. Glucagon stimulate the intestinal motility. False. Gastric inhibitory peptide inhibits insulin release. Again false. Thyroid hormone increase the metabolic rate. That is true. Glycolysis is splitting of glucose to form two molecules of pyruvic acid. That is true. CCK is secreted mainly in response to the digestive products of fat in the intestinal content. That is true. Parotid gland secretes mainly mucus type of secretion. False. In the GI, smooth muscle fiber, the channel responsible for the action potential are called the calcium-sodium channels. False. Some part of digestion occurs in the esophagus. False. No part of digestion occurs in the esophagus. Hypothalamic pituitary blood vessels supply blood to the anterior pituitary sinuses. That is true. Lack of niacin can lead to the depressed metabolism of carbohydrates and fats. True. Ghrelin is released from the stomach during fasting. That is true. Pancreas is only known to produce digestive enzymes. False. Proteins are formed from the multiple fatty acid molecules that are bound together by peptide bond. False. Crypts of lubricant are located on the surface of tongue. False. They are only found in the small intestine. The structure that regulates and controls the emptying of stomach is the sphincter of Oddi. False. Chylomicron are resynthesized triglycerides entering the lymph. That is true. The individual smooth muscle fiber in GIT are 2 to 10 micrometers in length and 200 to 500 micrometer in diameter. That is false. They are 2 to 10 in diameter and 200 to 500 micrometers in length. Hyperthyroidism can result in the condition called exophthalmos. That is true. Cortisol is involved in the metabolism of carbohydrate. That is false. Goblet cells secrete trypsinogen. This is false again. Electrical activity of GIT smooth muscles includes slow waves and fast waves. False. They only involve slow waves. Different neurotransmitter substances that are released by nerve ending of different type of the enteric neurons include acetylcholine, norepinephrine, adenosine phosphate, and secretin. False. Secretin is not a neurotransmitter, it is a hormone. Sympathetic stimulation also causes strong vasoconstriction of the large volume of intestinal and mesenteric veins. This is true. Cortisol, again, that's the same question. This is false. Goblet cells secrete trypsinogen. False. Mesenteric plexus is entirely excitatory. That is false. Corticotrophs cells secrete hormones that stimulate lipolysis. That is true. and the secretion from the posterior pituitary is controlled by the nerve signal that originate in the hypothalamus and terminate in the anterior pituitary. This is false again. Okay, these are the some of the MCQs which have been reappearing in the past exam papers. In the next video, I'm going to do some of the past papers question which involve the application of your knowledge and case studies. See you in the next video. Hopefully you like my video. If you like my video, don't forget to subscribe for more. Thank you.